A single meal destroyed an entire military strategy that had dominated for centuries. Armies fell, empires crumbled, and it all started with something soldiers could carry in their pockets. This wasn't a weapon, it wasn't a tactical breakthrough, it was food. And what happened next rewrote the rules of war in ways no general ever predicted. For thousands of years, armies faced an impossible challenge. Soldiers needed to eat, but food spoiled within days. Fresh meat rotted, bread grew moldy, vegetables turned to mush. This meant armies could only move as fast as their supply chains. Campaigns were planned around harvest seasons. Battles were fought near farms and rivers. The side with better logistics often won before a single sword was drawn. By 1795, Napoleon Bonaparte faced a crisis. His armies were starving, soldiers were deserting. Scurvy and malnutrition killed more men than enemy bullets. Traditional preserved foods like salted meat and hardtack weren't enough. Napoleon needed a solution that would let his troops march farther, fight longer, and survive harsher conditions. He offered 12,000 francs to anyone who could solve the problem. It was a fortune. Nicolas Appert was not a scientist or a military strategist. He was a confectioner and chef. But in 1809, after years of experimentation, he discovered something revolutionary. By sealing food in glass jars and heating them in boiling water, he could preserve meals for months without refrigeration. Meat stayed fresh, vegetables retained their nutrients. The French military tested his method and the results were undeniable. The British saw what France had created and immediately understood the implications. In 1810, Peter Durand adapted Appert's process using tin-coated iron cans instead of fragile glass. These metal containers were lighter, more durable, and perfect for military use. The British Navy began stockpiling canned provisions. Suddenly, ships could sail for months without stopping for supplies. Armies could march through deserts and frozen wastelands. The impact was immediate and devastating. Armies were no longer bound by seasons or geography. Napoleon's forces could now sustain campaigns deep into Russia during winter. Colonial powers could maintain troops in distant territories for years. Naval blockades became more effective because ships didn't need to return to port for fresh food. The entire strategic landscape of warfare had shifted because soldiers could now eat preserved rations anywhere. The Crimean War of 1853 proved how critical canned food had become. British and French troops survived brutal winters and long sieges thanks to preserved rations. Meanwhile, Russian forces, still relying on traditional supply methods, suffered massive casualties from starvation and disease. Canned food didn't just feed soldiers, it determined which side could outlast the other. Victory now belonged to whoever could keep their troops nourished longest. By the 1860s, canned food had become standard military issue. During the American Civil War, Union forces had significantly better access to canned provisions than the Confederacy. This advantage allowed Union armies to maintain longer campaigns and sustain larger forces in the field. Confederate soldiers often fought hungry, which affected morale, health, and combat effectiveness. The North's industrial capacity to produce canned goods became a decisive factor in their victory. The World Wars saw canned rations reach their peak importance. Millions of soldiers survived on canned meat, vegetables, and beans. The famous Spam became a staple that fed Allied forces across multiple continents. C rations and K rations kept troops fighting in jungles, deserts, and frozen battlefields. Modern MREs are direct descendants of Appert's original invention. Every contemporary military still depends on preserved food technology. What started as a military innovation transformed civilian life forever. Canned food made long-distance exploration possible. It enabled industrial workers to live far from farms. It created entire industries and changed global trade patterns. Supermarkets filled with preserved goods. Families could stockpile food for emergencies. The technology that changed warfare also changed how humanity itself survived and expanded across the planet. One confectioner's experiment with glass jars and boiling water rewrote military history. Armies became mobile. Empires expanded. Wars lasted longer and reached farther than ever before. The ability to preserve a simple meal gave nations the power to project force anywhere on Earth. And every time someone opens a can today, they're using the same technology that changed warfare forever. Hit subscribe to discover more hidden moments that shaped our world.